how they hung everybody. So, finally got around to watching Aki Sora, which I was kind of on the fence about watching for a long time. You all know why. You all know about Aki Sora. And I only watched the first OVA. I didn't do what was this? The second series called with the two OVAs or the three OVAs. I didn't watch that one. I just watched the first one, and I was quite disturbed. I'll admit. It's not that it was a terrible anime or a hentai, really. It's a hentai. Not that it was absolutely terrible, but just the just Aki's character in particular um, was just a little bit too overly excited about wanting to fuck him. You know, basically, if you don't know what Aki Sora is about, it is about Aki and her brother Sora, who, um, growing up, used to be very close. They used to take baths together and everything. But as Sora got older, obviously, you're not going to want to do that anymore. But she continues to want to do it. She has apparently had feelings for him since they were both very young. And as he gets older, he's uh, much more nervous around her, much more hesitant to be very close to her. Um, and it gets to a point where they end up taking a bath together, two adults, two adult siblings, and she gives him a hand job in the bath. Which, by the way, Sora, I feel bad for you because you have a very you must have that Hitler dick. You must have a micro dick or something. Because I mean, obviously they could have animated it in there, gave him something to work with. But even if they were gonna censor it, but they didn't. So sorry, dude. You don't have a lot to work with. So you better know how to move around. You know what I'm talking about? It's not the size of the boat. Um, and anyways, she does that. He obviously has a very bad reaction to this and tries to avoid her. But eventually, after a while, he gives in and professes his feelings for her, which is just um, all the more creepy. I'm not a very big fan of incest anime. And they end up fucking at the end of the episode. Um, Very short OVA. It's only 20, 22 minutes, something like that. Not very long. So you don't get you don't have a lot to work with. I mean, it is a hentai, so you shouldn't expect much from it. But even in terms of the sex scenes themselves, if you take out the fact that they're related, um, they're still very underwhelming. You don't get a whole lot out of it, um, which was very weird for me watching it because when I watched it, I was sitting right here on this couch in the living room, uh, going on to Pornhub, getting all the fucking dick ads on the side, blowjob ads. It was odd, but even then the sex scenes didn't really do much for me. I'm still just sitting here on the couch watching, and yeah. So the story is slightly salvageable for me at least. Again, I need to get around to the second part of it and see how that turns out. But in terms of this first OVA, I did not get a lot of good impressions from it. It's very average hentai for me. As if I'm some sort of a connoisseur of hentai here, which I'm not yet. And yeah, you don't get a whole lot in 22 minutes. How much can you really do in terms of progressing the story and giving a whole lot of character development to these characters? The only development really being from Sora himself, who simply lets his feelings get the best of him, and fucking his sister. So I already rated it on my anime list. If you'd like to see that, I'll rate it here. It's just a 5 out of 10. Pretty average. I was very close to giving it a 4 because of the hentai aspect in itself. Very underwhelming. Very short sex scenes as well. If you've seen it, let me know what you think of it. I know it's a very well-known hentai here. I know it's very popular. A lot of people have seen it. I've put this off for years. Not just ever since I've heard of it, I've been putting it off because it's not something that I really was against seeing, but because I wanted to see how the story turned out in itself. It's not something I was against seeing, but it wasn't something that I was really. It wasn't on the plate at first. It's not first. It's not first in line. It's barely 50th in line. But I decided, since it was short, I might as well get it out of the way. I've got some time here before I go and watch some other anime that I also that I'm getting ready to watch. One of the older series, Demon Dragon Dante is another one, or Demon Lord Dante is another one that I'm really looking forward to seeing. But I decided I'll get the short one out of the way first, see how that turned out. Turned out pretty average for me. But let me know if you've seen it in the comments. Let me know what you thought of it. Let me know if the second or the next. Let me know if the other OVAs are even worth watching, if they really bring anything more to the table in terms of progressing the story, or if it's in an entirely different timeline in itself, years before, years later. I'm not sure. And thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.